All right. Welcome, everyone. And I am so glad so many of you took time to be here on this Thursday evening, November 2nd. We're going to talk about Love Your Gut and Sourdough Bread Workshop. And I know sourdough is the highlight, it's the star of the show. But first, before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about how your gut health affects your overall health, how important it is for us to take care of it. And sourdough is a big part of that, or it can be. But we're going to talk about all the aspects of it. So how many of you, by show of hands, have baked sourdough bread before? I'm just curious. Okay. 1, 2, maybe a 3. Okay. 4. Okay. 4. That's good. That's good. And if y'all have comments, please jump in because, there's 599 ways to make sourdough bread. And we're just going to look at one tonight. So there's no right or wrong way. But I will tell you, I think this way is super easy. And the recipe we're using is from Michaela Peterson. She's a former pharmacist, and she is with the Juice Plus company, and she put together these great handouts. So if you don't have handouts, also put that in the chat if you need the handouts, because those are really helpful. We're going to talk about those, and we'll get those to you as well if you don't have your hands on those. Okay. So, all right, everybody's muted, I think. Oh, we need everybody muted if you're not. And we'll get started. So we're going to start with Love Your Gut Facts. So if you have that little piece of paper that says Love Your Gut Facts at the top, did you know this? This is so surprising to me that at least 70% of our immune system is made and originates in our gut. So that is surprising to me. And up to 90% of serotonin, we call that the happy hormone. That's the one that keeps us in a good mood. And we want that hormone more and more. And that is important to know because our gut health determines whether or not we have much serotonin. So did you know you could actually be cranky because you have bad gut health, that you need better gut health? That helps. And also another important fact to know is that nutrients are absorbed in your gut. That's where it happens. And if we're deficient in omegas are super important. And if we don't have enough of those, then we can't absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. And of course, everyone's familiar with fish oil as a source of omegas, but we also know that fish isn't always clean. There can also be rancidity, it can be mercury, it can be a lot of things that we don't necessarily want. And we take these. This is our little bottle of plant-based omegas. And why they're so great is because they're not from fish. They're from algae, which is the source where fish get their omegas. And what we also know is that they're full spectrum, and full spectrum means they've never been heated. So they're only cold pressed and cold fused, and I'll show you a capsule. So there you go. Little orange oil. I will tell you too, they make a great facial. You can pop this open and spread it all over your face before you go to bed at night. Well, you may want to wash it off. I don't know. It makes you look funny. But anyway, it definitely helps, and it works because your pores absorb all that omega oil. Okay, so I wanted to also tell you that I ask you a question. What do you think is the best way to improve your gut health? What's the number one thing you can do? Anybody that thinks they know, you can unmute and tell me. Y'all know the answer. Come on.
Eat lots of fruits and veggies.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy. You win a prize. I'm not sure what that is, but I'll figure it out. Yes, eating fruits and vegetables is the number one way because fruits and vegetables naturally have probiotics and prebiotics. Okay, second question, what's prebiotics? Who knows that? Prebiotics are the actual food that feeds our good bacteria. So prebiotics also could be thought of as pre-digested. It's what makes our good bacteria grow. So prebiotics are what help you grow good bacteria. Okay, so I want to jump in right here and take a minute or two to tell you my personal story. When we were a young family, my kids are grown up, everyone's an adult now, 4 kids, and my daughter's here on this call right now. But when we were raising kids, I really was looking for a way to help us just touch all the bases and have better nutrition and just, eat all the colors. And I knew I wasn't doing a great job, but I got a juicer and I started juicing and I thought, well, that's great, but they aren't doing this. So it was really bothering me. And I was truly looking for a way to get better nutrition in my family when Sharon McClellan gave me a call and said, hey, we're doing this. Your family should take a look. So that is how we learned about it 20 years ago. And I will forever be grateful to Sharon for introducing us to Juice Plus, because I knew that, yes, we need to try and eat. Did you know 2 cups of fruit and 3 cups of vegetables raw a day? I mean, if you've ever measured that and dumped it on a plate, that's more than a salad. That's a lot. So I knew that we wouldn't do that every day. And I will say that we noticed things right away. My kids had less allergy medicines. I'd say we got colds less often. And when they did get sick, it didn't last long. School attendance was up. We were feeling good. And personally, I was in my 40s and starting to get some osteoarthritis in my hand. And within 6 months, I had 0 symptoms, none. And I haven't had any since then. So we're talking 20 years. So that's pretty amazing to me. And what it also said to me was I had inflammation going on. And that kind of inflammation is the kind that's internal, and it's not the kind that is acute. So anyway, we all have some inflammation, which is okay. But when we start having symptoms, we know that the inflammation needs to get under control. And so anyway, our family has all the big diseases in our genes, like heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune, and Parkinson's, all those things. So it gives me so much hope that we have the opportunity to turn those genes off, and that we can do that with better nutrition. So Juice Plus is a tool. It's not the be all end all, but it's definitely a tool, and it's definitely changed the way we look at what food we eat. So it's been awesome to have Juice Plus in our life. And my pharmacist friend, Michaela, that I mentioned earlier, she always said, whenever I look at what to serve but give my family as far as a supplement goes, the 3 big questions are, is it safe for kids? Is it safe for pregnant women? And can cancer patients take it? And the answer is yes. All those boxes are checked with Juice Plus. So that's really cool. Okay, so that's the fruits and vegetables. And then the second thing is, on your sheet, you can see this, is fiber-rich foods, because fiber basically cleans out your colon. You need lots of fiber. We all know that, but we're all looking for ways to get it. Well, guess what? Fruits and vegetables have fiber. So you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone right there, eating lots of fruits and vegetables. Okay, so then the third one is fermented foods. Now, I know some people love fermented foods. Catherine and I are talking about doing kombucha, doing a kombucha part, because I love it. But some people are like, ick, I can never do that. And that's okay. That's just one more way that you can get more of the good bacteria in your gut. Because what happens is, now this is really important. You might want to write this down. What happens is that the sugars are broken down by the yeast and the bacteria. And that is what creates more of the good bacteria, is the way it's broken down through the fermentation process. So you're getting rid of sugars. So for example, sourdough bread can be eaten by most people that are celiacs. I'm not going to say everyone, because there are people that probably don't need to touch it if it's severe. But I will say that I use bread flour, which is high in gluten. I also use all-purpose flour, but King Arthur, it's my favorite brand. And what happens is, the longer you tug and tuck and make your bread and leave it out on the counter, that wild yeast grows and it eats up all the gluten. So let me just give you some stats. Regular bread, like that you would buy at the store, has anywhere from 800 to 1800 parts per million. That's a big spread, but that's a lot. Did you know that sourdough bread has 8 parts per million of gluten? So that's the reason why sourdough bread is going to be okay for most people. And I say most because there are certain people that don't want to risk it. Okay, so let me see. All right, so then the fourth thing I want to just mention briefly, we're not going to talk much about tonight, is the Shred 10 lifestyle. This is a 10-day program that is simply a way to reset your eating, to eat better, and take Juice Plus. And our family does it every day. I'm going to show you the capsules. I already showed you the omegas, but these are the fruit, vegetables, and berries. We do these, plus we do 1 or 2 shakes a day. If you do 1 shake a day, it's going to definitely make a difference. It's going to make you feel fuller. You're going to get more fiber. You're going to really notice a difference in your cravings. But if you do 2 shakes a day, it's a real game changer. You really begin to see your cravings change really incredibly. So I wanted you to see, these are the shakes, vanilla and chocolate. There's also a Perform shake, and that one is we kind of tend to think of these for athletes, but it can be for anybody that needs more protein. There's 25 grams of protein in this servings, and these are 13 grams of protein. So it's up to you, but you definitely might want to look into that a little bit more. Okay, so now let's make a loaf of bread. Okay, who's going to actually make bread with me? Is there anybody that's actually making it, or is everybody watching? Okay. All right. So let me show you. I made a loaf of bread. I would love to share it with you. I just took it out of the oven. I wish I could share it with you. That light is really bright. Hang on, I'm going to take that light off. Okay. That is a little better. Here's a loaf I just took out of the oven. Yum, yum. It's warm. It's nice. It worked. And let me tell you something. I have had flops. I want you to know that this is not a perfect science. I'm going to show you my flop. That's how transparent I'm going to be. I want to show it to you. It's kind of embarrassing. This is supposed to be rye bread. I'm not sure what it is. It's stuck. Can you see how flat it is? It's just flat and it's stuck. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of tips you can read and learn about, but I'm pretty sure it's because it was too much moisture in it, and I baked it. Oh, I made a couple of mistakes. Anyway, it just happens. Okay, so I just want you to know, don't be discouraged if you have a flop. That's the point, because you can keep going. And Nancy Strickland here, she's really, I consider you an expert, so she knows more than I do, and so she can help with questions as well. All right, so the way you're going to make your bread is, who has starter? You have starter? Okay, so I sent dehydrated starter, a lot of people. Does anybody want to show us your start? Sabrina, do you have your starter nearby? Can you show us yours? Beautiful. Okay. Sabrina started from the dehydrated, and she's been feeding it. We've been talking back and forth about this, and it looks beautiful. Sabrina, you did a good job. Yeah. Well, I bet it's going to be great. Okay. So this is a coffee filter, and we always want, you take your mason jar, it's quart size, wide mouth. You want the wide mouth, and you take the lid off that has the little ring. This part, you don't want this because you don't want airtight with your sourdough. So you have just your ring, and it goes over like a little skirt, like on your coffee filter to cover and keep it on your countertop. No airtight. Okay, this is my start. I don't know if you can see it very well, but can you see some bubbles in the sides? Let me look, see if you can see this way too. Can you see some bubbles in there? So I pulled this out of the fridge and I started feeding it today so that I could use it to show you all how to make a loaf of bread. And you can, the fun thing is the bread that flopped. I tried using I have made it, the rye bread. So it's 4 cups of flour, whether it's all-purpose or whether it's bread flour, but you can get creative. So I put in a cup of organic rye flour. It's also by King Arthur, and 3 cups of all-purpose. But anyway, I messed that one up. All right, so I'm going to get my bowl. Let me see if you can make this lower so you can see me a little bit. How's that? You can see me a little bit better. Okay, I just have a large mixing bowl, And I'm going to pour my start in here. Now, just basically to cover the bottom is around 1/4 cup. And if I go over, it's okay. It doesn't have to be an exact science. It really doesn't. Okay, so you see kind of how much I poured in there. I mean, I don't measure it, and you don't have to. If it makes you crazy, measure it. Just do what you know to do, which makes you feel better. And then I'm going to add 2 cups of water, and it cannot be tap water, because if we use tap water, the chlorine in the tap water will kill the good bacteria. So make sure you remember that part. I'm going to get the water, and I'm going to pour it in there. And I'm going to show you a couple of tools I love to use. So hang on one second. I didn't bring a pen. Okay, so I have this just like a Brita, kind of filter thing. All right, so 2 cups of water. Let y'all see, it just looks like, when I first did this, I thought, whoa, that's too much liquid. And you might think the same thing when you're doing it. And then a tablespoon of sea salt. So I've got a tablespoon doing this and showing you, because it makes it, you see how easy it is. I just have a tablespoon. I finally got smart and got ground sea salt. I was grinding and grinding and grinding until I realized, hey, I can get it ground. So just, shake it out. And if you go a little over, it's not going to hurt it. It might even taste better. In fact, one recipe is when it's almost done baking and you take the lid off and let it brown, you can pour a little bit of sea salt on top, and it makes a wonderful crust with a little bit of, think of like a pretzel, I guess, something like that texture and taste. And also what's great is when you have that pour off, like you see Sabrina's start, how big that is. When she pours some off to make bread, she can pour some more off into another jar, and then that's her, they call it discard, but it's not really discard. What you do is you can make pizza dough, you can make muffins, I've made chocolate chip cookies, and they're incredible. They're incredible with the start. And there's lots of recipes, and I'm going to give you all those resources. Okay, so now I've got my salt, goes in there. And next comes the flour, but what I want to show you is this little baby, Dutch whisk. It's kind of funny looking, looks like a piece of art kind of. It is actually so helpful. The other thing, I got this on Amazon. I got all of it on Amazon. This is called, see how it's shaped? It's called a spoon. SCHPOON. There's some funny words in sourdough world. This is spoon. And you know what it's good for? Does anybody want to guess what this is good for?
Scraping the jar.
Yes, exactly. That's what it's for, because it's so helpful to get it down and get all the sides off. And you want to, because you don't want to lose any of that good bacteria. Okay. So, all right, I got to grab my flour. Here it is. Okay. I'm going to use the bread flour tonight. This is King Arthur bread flour. The red one is the all-purpose, but I'm going to use this one tonight. Now I'm going to have to tilt this so you can see a little better. Can y'all see my bowl? Not so much, huh? Okay, let's see if I can make this work. Now, can you see my bowl? All right.
Much better, Mimi.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Help me out. Tell me when you can't see. All right, so I'm going to do 4 cups of flour. And like I told you, I'm not a perfectionist at measuring. I just scooped it up and said, that looks like a cup. And then if you have a sifter, use a sifter if you want your bread fluffier. This is just something I also got on Amazon. It's a sieve. And it makes your bread fluffier to put your flour in here like this and just do that until it all goes through. And I'm going to do 4 cups. So there's 1. This is the point in time when if you decided you wanted to do another type of flour, you can do that. But I'm just going to do bread flour. Bread flour is higher in gluten, but it also seems to turn out the bread, like this loaf I just made that I showed you tonight. This loaf, this was bread flour. So Oh, I do know this, it's delicious to put fresh rosemary, and I'm growing some rosemary in my tower garden. It is really good. And it makes your
Mimi,
house
we want a
close.
piece of that bread right now. It
Avocado,
looks so
sliced
good.
Cucumber.
Oh, I wish we were all together and could do that. Okay, so 3. Now I'm going to start telling you about some next steps, so you don't just have to watch me do this. The next step after we stir it up is called tug and tuck. Not allowed. Tug and tuck is super important, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Tug and tuck is when think of if you've ever made yeast bread where you knead the bread, it's kind of similar to that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take my Dutch whisk. You can use, really any scraper, but this one really works phenomenally well. I use this one too, but since I have this, I'm going to use this. When I do workshops at my home and I've got like several people, I have to come up with other tools, so I'll use whatever. So don't ever feel like you're limited. There's so many things that you can add in to make sweet and savory. I'm going to share with you a lot of recipes that you can have some fun with it. With the holidays coming, it'll be fun. It could be a fun family activity to get together and make some bread together. And, you can make cranberry bread. You can make cinnamon raisin bread. There's savory ones too that you can make with herbs and then a really fun thing to do is to serve it with a butter board. It's just like a butcher block board that you put butter on it, and you can dribble your honey or sprinkle some herbs on, and you end up with just this fabulous, like a charcuterie board of delicious bread. So anyway, can y'all see the consistency? That it's kind of thick. It's a little thick. So I'm going to actually just add a sprinkle more water because I don't want it to be too much, too thick. I want it to be pliable, but I want it to be, I don't know, I think of pizza dough is kind of what it reminds me of. Okay, so that's all blended. And now what I'm going to do is tug and tuck. And what that means is, can y'all see me okay, what I'm doing? Tell me if you can't. You reach down under the dough and you pull it up and you tuck it over. And you just keep turning your bowl, pull and tuck, tug and tuck. Now this just looks like, and my hand's getting all sticky. It's okay. You're going to go all the way around the bowl. And you're going to do this at least 4, 5, 6 times. The more you do it, the tangier your bread. Okay. So, and you can only do it every couple of hours. I wouldn't do it closer than 2 hours. Because you want to give the bread rest, the dough rest time, so it can actually grow some more bacteria. Wild yeast. That might sound better, right? Wild yeast than bacteria. Okay, so now it's pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a wet tea towel over the top. And I got these on Amazon. So when I have in-home sourdough events, and Target has these like 5 for $5. Okay. So you're going to wrap it with a tea towel because you're going to leave it out on the counter overnight. And I'm going to sprinkle it with a little more water because I want it to be moist and stay moist. And then it's good for now. And it's really a good time at night to do this because you give it a good 10 to 12 hours minimum to rest on the countertop. So it's going to bed now. So see, it's in here. It's tug and tucked. I'm going to just wrap this around and it's going to sit on my countertop overnight. And in the morning, I'm going to tug and tuck when I get up, and I'm going to do it every 2 hours, at least 5. For me, I like it tangy. So I'll do it 5 more times. You can do it 4 more times. And then the final step is, do you have a Dutch oven? This is the perfect thing to bake it in. So if you don't have one, Amazon has cheap ones. I have a really nice one and I didn't want to, because you're going to put your oven really high temp. So if you're worried about your good Dutch oven, you might want to get a $30 one. So, and the lid. So when you're ready to bake, you'll see your dough is going to rise a little bit and it's going to be beautiful. And then you're going to tug and tuck, and it's going to go back down. Don't worry, it'll rise up again. And it's on the rise is when you want to bake it. Okay. So what you're going to do is get a piece of parchment paper. And you're going to spread out this piece of parchment paper and you're going to dump your dough onto the parchment paper. And then you just drop it down. I'll show you again. Inside here, like that, inside here. And you're going to put the lid on and you're going to bake it in there. But you'll see, I gave the handout is the whole recipe. You turn the oven on 450 for about 30 minutes with the pan in there. Some say you don't have to. I prefer it be in there. And once it's heated for 30 minutes, you're going to pull it out super hot. And then you will put your bread dough in there and then pop it in your oven on 450 for 40 minutes. I mean, that's just, everything's kind of a little bit of a guess. It depends on where you live and your humidity level. And then I take the lid off and then I let it bake another 8-10 minutes until it gets the color I want. That's why I took this out after about 8 minutes. And it was to me, I love the color, the perfect color. So that's it. And then if you need starter, I have dehydrated a bunch. I'm happy to get that out to anybody that needs some. I just charge $10 and it's really to cover the cost of getting it to you. It's not a business. It's just, if you want some, I have some. And you can order it on Amazon. Either way is totally good with me. Okay, so I'm done. And I'm going to stop the recording and we can take questions.